Good morning. Welcome. I'm Mary Winters. I'm a gerontologist, the owner of About Senior Solutions, and you are watching Visionary Aging. I just want you to know how much power you have in how you age, and we want to make sure you have fantastic resources. So we put this show together every single week, every Friday, so that you are able to connect with people who really know their stuff, and we can make your life as good as possible. So I wonder if Steve McCullough has his caregiver question. Let me go ahead and intro him. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Do you know it's April Fool's Day?
It is April Fool's Day, yes.
So I don't know what kind of jokes you're going to be playing today, but I don't know what kind of question you got either, because we didn't even talk about it in advance. But what kind of caregiver question did you get?
So the caregiver we have for this week is it's a family. Mom and dad are elderly, still have their capacity, still at home, but the kids are worried that they're just worried about their finances, and the parents don't really share a lot of information. So they're trying to figure out how to get their parents to open up about their finances, and not take it in a way that they're prying, but just want to know if something unforeseen happens, they're able to help the other parent, surviving parent live. So how do you have that conversation with your folks about stuff and do it in a way where you're not prying, you're just trying to get information?
Well, hopefully they have some trusted advisors, but they may not. And I call it having little commercials with someone. So maybe it's something that you need to drop routinely, as far as saying, I'm just worried. I don't want to pry, but I didn't know if in an emergency you have somebody we should go to that would help us understand more about your situation. We actually have Michael Hatch on too, so it's kind of funny that was our question. But it's just really important to be planful, and I've talked about this often. The idea of GIFT, I put that acronym together, where you gather information, you inform those that need to be part of a plan, you follow through to completion, and then you tell people by either sharing where that plan is or giving them a copy of that plan. So that's a gift. That's a gift to yourself, so that people are empowered to make decisions for you. And it's a gift to, it's a gift to yourself too. So I say just continue to have those little conversations to stimulate that idea with the individuals, and potentially introduce them to other people who may be trusted advisors. Maybe you have your own financial planner, your CPA. Maybe they have their CPA that's doing their taxes for them. So that's always helpful too. But it is something to be concerned about. I want to put some workshops together. So this is kind of forcing me to kind of put things in order also. So that's a great question. Thank you. Thank you for whoever asked that.
Yes.
So today we have Michael Hatch on. He is a certified financial planner. And let me tell you a little bit about him. We'll go ahead, and you want to join us at the end of the program. We can talk a little bit at the end. All right, sounds good.
Okay. Have a good show.
Thanks. Yeah, so Michael is, he's been around Pasadena for a while. He has been doing this kind of work since 1989, and he is with the Sterling Group. He's a principal there, or the Sterling Financial Group Incorporated, and he's an independent financial planning and registered investment advisor. And he specializes in working with professionals, owners of closely held businesses, and those clients who have really complicated tax situations in their estates. They may be very philanthropic, and they're looking to develop and support a multi-generational planning strategy. The other thing I think that's really interesting about Michael too is that he does hold a law degree and MBA, and he is certified as a financial planner. He's been published all over Wall Street Journal and Chicago Tribune, Financial Times. He really knows his stuff, and he's with several professional groups, but in some that I am in him with him in. He's also a golfer and a skier, and I think he also likes to cook and travel. So let's go ahead and we'll bring Michael in. Let's see if we can find him here. And yes, that looks like that's him. So we'll go ahead and bring Michael in here and have a little discussion with him about how important it is to do these plans.
Good morning, Mary.
Hi, Michael. How are you? Thanks for being on today.
I'm great. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So we had that great, interesting question from one of our viewers. And what kind of advice do you even have? I throw you on the spot there, but what kind of discussions do you have with your clients? Or
well, I was listening to that, and I thought it was really interesting because I've had the good fortune to go to a place that's a great resource. I've spent 2 weeks there at Massachusetts Institute of Technology at a place called the Age Lab. And the first time I went, this gentleman was drawing a caricature on the screen. He was a good artist, but he was also a scientist and a human researcher. And the question was this: what's the most stressed out person in America? And people would raise their hand: business owner, young moms, this and that. And when he got done drawing his picture, it was a middle-aged 50-something-year-old female who generally had parents, sometimes her in-laws, that she was caring for, and kids that aren't independent yet. So it was, and then his comment, which was really funny, was, and then you come along and call her and want to have a meeting. So it was very funny, but there's a lot to be said for having those plans in place and having people know kind of what's going on, or understanding that you have a team of trusted professionals already in place, because sometimes people don't want to share with their kids, but
that's true.
But the kids are unsure if it's been taken care of, and they just kind of need to know that.
Yeah, I do talk to people who don't want to have their children, sometimes because they don't want to burden them, sometimes because they don't think they will make a good decision for them, or they live out of state. Yeah, it's completely personal who you choose. It's just a matter of choosing. Make sure you do choose somebody, right?
Well, that's right. And if you look at the whole country, the very largest financial institutions in the world, the very largest in the whole country, are Fidelity Brokerage, Charles Schwab, and Vanguard. Those are all places for people who like to and want to do it themselves. And so there are a great number of families that do a lot of this themselves, but just like the greatest golfers or basketball players or whatever profession you want to bring up, they all have coaches. Most of them have multiple coaches. Tom Brady has a nutritionist, a strength coach, a this coach, and a that coach. Right. So even if you are doing it yourself, it may behoove you long term, especially if there's a couple involved. Maybe there's one spouse who's stronger at some of this stuff than the other, and unfortunately, mortality is still 100%. So it behooves the couple to have some plans in place that go beyond both of them.
So talk a little bit about the idea of multi-generational planning. What are some of the things that you discuss with your clients that are really important to you?
Well, I think the main thing is to at least have everything in one place. That doesn't mean at one firm, but at least all of your information in a common place that's understood where it is, and that you can monitor and keep it up to date. One of the biggest issues that we find over time is clients ending up with misplaced assets or stranded assets, or more specifically, accounts or pieces of real estate or things like this that are in the wrong title. They're not named properly. They don't have, say, the trust on them. So even if you want to do this yourself, having all of that information in one place and having a good idea of account numbers, passwords, the title on the account, and then sharing that with somebody you trust, whether it's your child or your group of children or a CPA or an attorney or a financial advisor, whatever that is. Over time, we very much advocate trying to have a family relationship. We have over 50% of our clients who are related to at least one other client. So we've done that. We like to say, number one, planning is a family matter, but number two, we like to know everything about the family down to what each grandchild is doing. And so
Nice.
the idea that we can do all of this ourselves, it's very difficult. There's so much to know between tax, estate planning, investments. It's just hard to keep up, and we're constantly bombarded with new information. And so, over time, sometimes having a third party involved to coach the family and bring them along, because everyone starts at a different level of readiness.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And some people never get ready, let's face it, or they make some changes too that can be detrimental. I think you mentioned a client who had made some changes, and so that really is going to affect long-term the surviving wife now, correct?
That's right. So we had a client where this one spouse was disabled and the other well spouse thought he was doing the right thing and updated their estate plan independent of the
a coach
put together, and now it's going to cause great strife for the remainder of the wife's term. So just keeping everyone in the loop and trusting the process. I like to say to clients, I've never retired before. I've just done it vicariously a couple hundred times. And so for the average client, they've never retired before either. This is their first go around.
Right.
And so working with a professional such as yourself, if they need, that kind of assistance or other groups can really help you kind of smooth the transition and see around the corner. Because if you don't know what issues you're looking for, then they can come up and bite you when you least expect it. And that is one of the things, fortunately, that we learn in law school. We don't learn how to solve all the problems. We do learn how to spot issues.
Exactly. We're talking with Michael Hatch of Sterling Financial Group, and I have your information here, 626-440-9192 at the sterlingfg.com email, our website. And I just want to put that out there so that if anybody does want to reach out to you for more information, is that something that you would do? Just have a consultation with someone? Sure.
Just, put a note in the subject line and say, hey, I saw you on Mary Winter's podcast or stream, and be happy to take a call and see if we can offer service. I mean, lots of things we do are for clients' friends or my relatives. I have a very large family, so we're always trying to help out where we can.
Sure. Yeah. I am from a large family, so it was always hard for me to see when we had clients who had nobody, and that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Large families, and you have the complete opposite too. I'm on a little bit of a bandwagon right now. I expressed this with you earlier about having your advanced healthcare directives together. And I think you even have a newsletter that you're coming out with that kind of describes more of that terminology and trying to understand some of the complexity or the odd terms within that. Is that true? Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's the idea that we're trying to convey, is that so many of these terms are new to people. And, for example, certain powers of attorney in California, quite a while ago, somebody might have done their estate plan in the 90s. Back then, a lot of these things had expiration dates. And so just something as simple as reviewing these healthcare powers of attorney or durable power of attorney can be really valuable. Other times we see powers of attorney that have to have doctors certify that you're not well in order to spring into life. And that's very difficult in this age of privacy. I mean, I can hardly get a hold of certain doctors just to schedule an appointment,
right.
Let alone trying to get someone's attention to provide a real personal service. So on these healthcare powers, I very much think, You want to focus on somebody who's relatively close to you relationship-wise, but also in the area. If you're in Southern California, for instance, it may be very difficult if your closest niece lives in Maine.
Sure.
In that kind of case, you might want even a close friend who's not a family member who knows you well. And
exactly. And then maybe secondarily have the niece. Although I have to say, we support quite a few of those nieces in other parts of the country or world too. So if you only have that niece, we'll help, or care management across the country is fantastic to support
right.
people with that. So
But
that
Mary,
is
in your field, you must come across this all the time. A lot of seniors over time, as we age, sometimes get a little more isolated, and that's not
yes.
good for a whole host of reasons. So this idea of finding people you trust, because some of us are natural introverts, right?
Mhm.
So how do you help
Sure.
clients kind of overcome that if they don't have anybody, say, specifically in the area?
Well, they don't change. I mean, they'll always more than likely remain an introvert, but it's the level of trust that you have for that individual making decisions and understanding them as an individual. Sometimes we sit down and talk with our clients down to the point of what kinds of things, if you can't speak for yourself, tell me what kinds of things would really bother you. And a client told me, if my socks are sideways, it makes me crazy. So if I'm in a hospital bed and somebody puts socks on me and they're twisted, I am going to be upset if I can't verbalize that. So it's little things like that that are just kind of interesting to know that person. And we have fiduciaries too, who makes those
Right.
professional fiduciaries. Marguerite Lawrence was on with us a few weeks ago, and so she described some of those things that she does for her clients too.
Well, that's a great and growing field, because it wasn't really prevalent 20 years ago.
Correct.
Back many people's conceptions about a trust company, let's say, are based on, large impersonal institution from the 70s and 80s caricature. And certainly there's great trust companies at banks and other places, but a lot of times for more modest estates or even larger estates, somebody wants some more personal attention, and there are private fiduciaries out there who don't take custody of funds. They don't manage the money directly, but they're an independent, licensed, bonded person that can help you watch over things. I think that's a great option for a lot of families.
Share another tip or some of the ideas that you talk about with your families regarding philanthropy and their estate planning, or their financial planning.
Sure. So we have a case right now. It's actually very, very active, where a client, single, her husband passed, and she had designated in her estate that she wanted a quarter of her total trust assets to go to charity. And after we got into the plan, because not everybody realizes what it's going to take to live throughout their life. They don't understand
Yes.
if there's a big surplus or maybe potentially some challenges in terms of a shortfall. But once we got into it and helped her understand that she had at least twice, if not three times more assets than she needed for any reasonable life expectancy,
That's
we said,
great.
hey, if these are charities that you want to support later, but you're already volunteering there and very involved, she was in the healthcare field, why not think about making those donations now? You get a current income tax deduction. That's not why you're doing it, but it's a little side benefit. And you get to see and maybe influence the development of this program. And she's having a great time. She called us last week and said, gosh, the scholarship that we're starting to put together, I might donate, X amount for 5 years and have it fully funded. So it was very exciting for her to kind of see that. So that's the one area that we get involved in. Another area that we get involved in is that people tend to write a lot of checks to charity out of their checkbooks, whereas for many clients, they might have appreciated stocks or other assets that are more tax efficient to give, where you could keep your cash in one bucket, but maybe use appreciated assets and avoid the capital gains. It's just a way to do it a little more tax efficiently. So those are a couple strategies.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to wait till the end of the program and say goodbye with us?
I'm here. Sure. Thank you.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks so much. I love the strategies that you offer, and we'll connect a little bit towards the end of the program then too. I love that. So helpful to have that information. And let me go ahead and we'll bring on Melinda. Let's see, I want to hide that and we're going to bring Melinda in. Let's see, here we go. Hey, Melinda. How are you?
How are you? Happy April Fool's Day.
I know. I was telling Michael, I'm too old to say that I'm pregnant. I mean, that would be like a miracle child if I said I was pregnant at this point. Yeah. So, but what kind of April Fool's joke are you going to have, if any?
I don't know. I'm bad at that. And in your early 40s, the pregnancy joke isn't funny to most of my friends either because they're actively trying to have a baby.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So how about that? That's very interesting. So how about do you have some women's health tips or what kinds of things were you going to share with us today?
In honors of April Fool's Day, I thought I'd talk about how laughter affects your health.
Fantastic.
So there are a couple of short-term benefits there's probably many, but I wanted to highlight a couple short-term benefits, mainly that laughter enhances your oxygen intake. It releases endorphins in your brain. And then it can activate and relieve stress response by increasing and then decreasing your heart rate and blood pressure, which will relax you. And then laughter can also stimulate circulation and relax your muscles. So it's like the best thing to do after a workout.
Nice.
And then some long-term effects of laughing. It improves the immune system. So negative thoughts actually become chemical reactions in our body and they can decrease our immunity, whereas positive thoughts can release neuropeptides and that helps fight stress and potentially can help fight serious illnesses. Laughter also eases pain because it causes the body to produce its own painkillers, its own natural painkillers. Yeah. And then finally, I think, which has been something that's been very important to me as I've lived through my life, is laughter can make it easier to cope with difficult situations. So sure. If somebody is experiencing depression, which can also, be something that people experience as they age, or if they're dealing with some serious illnesses or chronic pain, laughter can help lessen the stress of that and the depression sure. of that and the anxiety of that. So it's definitely a great day being April Fool's Day as we can really, use the opportunity to laugh more today and to put something funny on, put a television show on, dance around, look up some jokes, talk to people, connect with people, and laugh today.
That sounds great. I love it. And we also know statistically that we live longer when we have a better, more positive, healthy attitude. So that's fantastic. Well, we have a little birthday today. Let me go ahead and bring her on. She is 100 years old today. Her name is Kathleen Todd. And I don't think she looks 100. She looks really, really good to me.
Yeah, she looks great.
So, she is phenomenal. She is living out and it's her birthday actually today. She's an April Fool's baby. My mother-in-law was the day after. And I know she used to say, my sister teased me forever because I was born the day after the Fool's Day. So she always called me the Fool. But our little Kathleen is in Cedar Rapids. She was there for 65 years. She recently moved to a community and she is loving it there. And so let's go ahead and shower her with great wishes and many, many years ahead. So she's just darling. And I just, like Michael said too, in his interview, I've not gotten to 100. I don't know what it's like to be 100. I don't know what it's like to be retired. We're giving this advice and we're hoping that that's in the right direction. I remember too, when I was working with children, infants actually, and I was talking to a pediatrician, he said, I knew nothing of actually raising children. I knew the functionality and the medical issues wrapped around being a child, but I had to go to my go-to moms and ask for the advice. So we're here to ask for your advice too, as aging adults, what's working for you and what's not. So let's see, do we have anything else? We have our anniversary party. It's 15 years. And so we're having our anniversary party on Saturday, which is tomorrow, the day after Fool's Day. So if you'd like to join us for that, please call the office at 626-359-0108, and they can get you an invite, or you can just show up don't show up because we've got food and we've got all kinds of plans. So we don't want you just to show up, but we want you to be there. So in any event, we're excited. And let's go ahead and bring back, we'll bring back Michael, we'll bring back Stephen. How's that? And just say our goodbyes quickly and talk a little bit about the weekend. So thank you, Michael, for being on today. Really appreciate it. And Melinda, your words of laughter were fantastic. And Stephen, that was a great caregiver question. So, well, do you know what yesterday was on the, let's see, we've got I guess I got rid of it maybe.
My guess is that it was Pancake Day.
No, it was actually National Crayon Day. Coloring Day. So I know you can have some fun with that, I guess, too. But yeah, any good plans? We have our party, going on for tomorrow night. Anybody else with some exciting plans taking
We're
place?
sadly going to have to miss Mary because I have both my 88-year-old father-in-law and my 83-year-old father here with us. So
that's great.
So yeah, we're kind of in full nesting mode here.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a good reason to miss that party. We'll have more parties. You don't get to spend that kind of time together all the time with the dads. Yeah, it's Dad's Day.
Especially with 2 basketball games on tomorrow.
Oh, fun. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, everybody. You have a fantastic weekend. We'll go ahead and take off and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Oops. Oh, here we go. Let me see if we can find our goodbyes. Let's see. Here we go.